Hey, how's it going, everyone? Today we're going to be working on the ae86 Corolla. It's been a long time coming. We finally got some time to work on it. I know we were working on the Subaru before, but now we have some actual parts to put on this thing. We're going to be doing the coilovers so that we can lower it. We're going to be welding them on ourselves because that's the kit I chose to go with. And I am stoked to finally lower this thing. So right now it's actually on stock cut springs, which I totally hate. So let's see what we actually got for this bad boy. So if you saw my last video, you saw the coilover setup. Today we're only going to be installing the rear, just because it's going to be raining soon and I kind of want to get at least that part on. Because if I start taking the front apart and I'm caught by the rain, the car's just pretty much going to sit on jacks, and I don't want that for it right now. I will get to the front this weekend. It's just, I mean, as you can tell, it's going to be raining soon, and it's going to rain for like the next 2-3 days. So I at least want to put the back on just to see what the back is going to look like. Alright, so you can see where the stock spring is, and it came out so easily because, like I said, it's cut. We're gonna need this perch, and I may have to get a replacement perch for the lower. Clean all this gunk off. Yeah, I need a new one. Alright, so the next thing you want to do is undo your shock. So to get to the top bolts, we're actually going to have to remove this little cap, which we have to be careful with because these things are really hard to find. And we got to remove this nut and hold on to this with the crescent wrench or something. Get that bad boy off, and then we'll take the 17mm bolt that's underneath, and it should be good to go. Alright, so now that we got the top part of the shock off, we got to go down to the bottom and take the 14mm bolt off of here. So this is going to be the new replacement. Now don't be fooled. Just because they're both red doesn't mean they're the same thing. There's a KYB AGX with 8-way adjustable, I believe, dampening. And I believe this is a short stroke, to where this one, I believe it's a Gabriel suspension. It doesn't say. And the reason why we want the short strokes in here is because when you lower the vehicle, you keep the full range of motion of the shock, to where if you get this one and you lower it, you now have maybe half of the range that you would have if it was full motion. All right, so now you have it sticking through the chassis. You put your inner grommet in there, and then your top washer, and then you can go ahead and put one of the bolts on there. you can go ahead and put one of the nuts on there just to hold it in place. And then what you want to do is come back down to the bottom and make sure that you have this piece facing the right way. All right, so now let's compare the springs. So we have your stock spring here, nothing special, just regular spring cut to make the car lowered. And now here we have our Swift spring. I believe it's a 5.1 K for the rear. We're just gonna put our rubber pieces back on that we took off of the stock one. Just gotta match it. That's gonna go towards the chassis, and then just throw it in there and align the bottom with that piece. Now I had already cut the bump stop on there, but if you're still running stock bump stops, I suggest you remove it, or else you're gonna have a bad time. No, you're just gonna bottom out a lot easier. But here's this. Now I am gonna have to lift the differential up a little bit just so that I could align this piece with the hole back here, now that we have the short stroke shock. So you gotta check your spring, make sure it's gonna sit correctly. And so then what you're gonna wanna do is slide this thing on there. Looks like it needs a bit more. Right, now we put our stock washer and 14mm bolt back in. Make sure it's nice and snug. And now we put the wheel back on. So as you guys can tell, the rear is pretty straightforward. I went and chose this kit because I wanted to build it myself, and it's just easier to do maintenance on. Like, I don't have to send them in to get rebuilt or anything like that. If I need to replace a shock, I just ordered a new shock, throw it on there, everything's good to go. And if I want to change out the springs, it's pretty easy too. All right, so the passenger side is pretty much going to be the same. Take off your wheel, take the top nuts off, and then, you know, just replace the spring, replace the shock, and you're pretty much ready to go. So I'm just gonna make this a time lapse. Holy crap, it lowered it a lot more than I thought it was going to. But I think the suspension still needs to settle, so I don't know if it's going to be lower. I mean, you can tell just by looking at the front and the back. That's the front. You can fit like almost 2 fingers in there. And the rear is slightly tucking the tire, so I'm definitely gonna have to roll these fenders more than it is. But we're not done yet. We still have to tighten up the nuts on top and then put the locking nut on there, and I'll show you guys how to do that right now. So like I mentioned before, it's supposed to rain today, so I won't be doing the front suspension. That'll have to be for this next weekend and another video. I hate doing 2-part videos, but you know, that's just the way it is right now. Let's take it out for a test drive, see how it feels, even though it's just the rear. And I'm hoping that it doesn't stay that low. If it goes up like maybe another 1/4 of an inch, I'd be happy with that.